We begin chapter 20. Chapter 20 in one word is lavadai, alone, referring to God alone. What does that mean? We'll get to. In the previous chapter, two chapters we spoke, that it is very near to us. It is very near to us to love and have an awe of God. How's it so near? Well, the Alter Rebbe explained, because we have a natural love. The soul of a Jew, that is a merit that's given to us in the merit of the patriarchs, Abraham in particular, but the patriarchs and matriarchs, holy people, we get the merit of having this soul, that its love of God stems from Chachma. That Chachma is the container, the vehicle for the Ein Sof, the limitlessness of God, and therefore it becomes the source of self-sacrifice, ready to give up our lives, no matter, even if you are not a committed Jew, but when it comes to test of faith, a Jew will forfeit his life rather than deny their Jewishness, deny the unity of God. In fact, a person would never sin if they would have that sense of being torn away from God because of the act of sin. It's only because we are delusional and feel that, well, this act is not really going to separate me from God. But when that part of my soul is aroused, the chachma of my soul, which is that faith and transcendent connection to God, is aroused, it will give even the most hardened sinner the wherewithal to suffer martyrdom rather than denounce their faith. So where the Alter Rebbe wants to take this now is, how can we take that notion and bring it into everyday living? That every positive connection to God is indeed a connection, and every transgression is indeed a disconnect. How do we make that real for us? So the Alter Rebbe begins. It's known that the positive commandments, which is the positive is to believe in the unity of God, the positive commandment, and the negative commandment concerning idolatry are the first two commandments in the Ten Commandments. I'm the Lord your God, right? And there should be no other gods before me. That's positive and negative, both speaking about the positive connection and the disconnect of God. So I'm the Lord your God, then, as is well known, contains 248 positive commandments, and there should be no other gods, which is the second commandment of the Ten Commandments, is containing in it all 365 commandments or prohibitions of the Torah. That's why the Jewish people at Mount Sinai heard only the first two commandments, because in those first two commandments, it's like hearing all of the commandments from God, because in those two contain all of the 613 commandments, the entire Torah itself. Therefore, just as one is motivated by love of God to obey these two commandments at the expense of one's life, because that's speaking about, I'm the Lord your God, there should be no other gods, and you're ready to forfeit your life, this can also serve as a motivation to observe all of the commandments. The question is, of course, how? How is that the motivation to fulfill all of the commandments? How is it that I'm the Lord your God is going to bring you to the notion of that you should, visit the sick in the hospital, or, observe the Sabbath, and so on? Why is it that the prohibitions should be a manifestation of all of idolatry? In other words, there's a prohibition against eating non-kosher. There's a prohibition against, when you bring an offering in the times of the Holy Temple, and there was an extraneous, a wrong thought of what you're bringing in that offering. So that's comparable to idolatry? How's it comparable to idolatry? That's what we need to understand. So the Alter Rebbe, so the basic question is, how do the first two commandments encompass the entire Torah? When the first two commandments are only speaking about that an acceptance as God is God, and that there should be no other gods. So to elucidate this matter clearly, first have to understand the idea of what does it mean, the unity of God? What does it mean that there is one God? It means there's one God but not Zeus? Is that what it means? On a simplistic level, but on a deeper level, no, it means one God means his only God, God alone. Levado, as we said, he is alone, exactly as he was before the world. There was only him. After the world is created, there is only him. Well, how's that there's only him if now he created a world? It's because there's no add-on to God. God did not change, didn't affect. He wasn't affected by this. Before he created the world, he was single and alone. After he creates the world, he is single and alone. Why? How's that possible? Because all of creation is not an add-on to God. Like, oh, before there was only God. Now, oh, look at that. There's me and you and so many others. No. We're completely, absolutely non-existent. What does that mean that we're non-existent? How do you understand that? So we'll understand that, the Alter Rebbe says, by understanding what does it mean, the word of God that creates the world, as opposed to a human being when they craft something. So when a human being crafts something, the craftsman of this, right? Silver goblet, just imagine it was. So after creating this, it's independent of me. There is something besides me. There's this goblet. And it's independent of me. Not so God as creator. God as creator is the creation that he creates is totally dependent on him. It's not independent of him after it's been created. How so? Because that's the word of God that animates. What does that mean? Stay tuned for the next class. That will give us an understanding. And that's it for today, folks. A reminder that you can catch this in 1 minute. It started now, the last 10 days, or I've done 10 teachings of the Daily Tanya in 1 minute. And I ask you to go to Instagram, to LinkedIn, to Twitter, and please follow, like, so we can expand our reach of the Daily Tanya. It's Tanya Rabbi. You'll find it in those places. And that way we can take the teachings to the next level and bring it literally around the globe. All right, folks, so please, sharing is caring. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you, Tanya. Have a wonderful day and a great Shabbos.